Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Jays Today Show, ladies and gentlemen. Where today is the day where free agency officially begins. At 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the free agents who are not signed to any teams currently will be available for other teams to go and grab. But it's not like the NBA, it's not like the NFL, it's not like the NHL, where you got a certain time frame. We've got all winter long to be speculating and looking at free agents and where they're going to go and what are the rumors, blah, 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 blah. Speaking of which, one big free agent that I know is very contentious right now in Blue Jay land is obviously Juan Soto. However, over the weekend, we did hear, apparently through Hector Gomez, who's very close to a lot of teams, especially Dominican players, that the Blue Jays are going to go all out, quotes, for Juan Soto. So we're going to talk about that because it would be a terrible Blue Jays podcast if we didn't talk about that, because that's kind of the only thing happening right now. And as well, some awards and stuff that are flying around and being named to some Toronto Blue Jays. Let's talk about all of that and more. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And I guess I knew how down horrendously a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans were about the Shohei Otani incident and about everything that transpired there. Like, you know, we were all very heartbroken when he decided to go to LA and, you know, all the insiders were wrong and everything like that. But I suppose I was just reminded at truly how heartbroken every one of the Toronto Blue Jays fan base was when we started talking about all this Juan Soto stuff. Because the second that Hector Gomez came out and said, yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays, they're going all out for Juan Soto, or that's the intention anyways, to give him the contract that he's seeking, every Toronto Blue Jays fan took to the internet, took to Twitter, took to Instagram, just went off online, effectively saying, just stop it, you know, cancel the noise. I don't want to hear it. I want to bury my head in the sand. I don't want to look at this. And I get it, everybody. I get it. We went through a rough breakup 1 year ago. You know, it's tough to believe again. It's tough to think that there could be love out there after Shohei Otani. So I get where everyone's coming from right now, but I do just want to let everyone know I'm ready to get hurt again. I am ready to get hurt again, and I could buy into a Juan Soto signing if the Toronto Blue Jays are capable of going out and doing it. It's going to be a long shot, obviously, but I'm ready to believe.
I'm not counting my eggs before they hatch, or counting my chickens before they hatch, right? I'm not gonna believe that we're gonna get him and blah, blah, blah. I won't, right? Because I do think, even for the longest time with the whole Shohei Otani thing, you know, we for the longest time, you know, we didn't want to believe. You know, we were pushing it off, and we kept reminding ourselves, well, this is definitely a long shot, until it came to the very end where literally we thought he was on a plane coming over to Toronto. Then we obviously found out that wasn't true. Then we got hurt a day later as he signed to the LA Dodgers. But for this situation, I think if you just remove the emotional aspect and forget about the past and just look for what it is, the Blue Jays are going to be aggressive for Juan Soto. That's what it is. We're a big market team. We're aggressive on Shohei Otani, so it makes sense that we're aggressive on Juan Soto. But that doesn't mean that we're tricking ourselves or we're lying to ourselves. We're just looking at the facts that we are a big market team and we're going to do it. So there's nothing wrong with just saying that. Or I believe that we will be going in hard. Absolutely will be.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that we're going to sign him, because I think that other teams are just going to push a little bit more money in the middle, and they're going to be more attractive to Juan
Now,
Soto.
at the end of the day, folks, as exciting as it is for me to hear that the Toronto Blue Jays are, in fact, going to be going all out for Juan Soto, I do have to agree with Adam here in thinking that if I had to stake my life on it, you know, he is going to remain a Yankee, or he is going to, you know, just move over a little bit in the city of New York and go over to the New York Mets, right? I do believe that they are just better suited for this than the Toronto Blue Jays are. All of that being said, though, I'm still excited to watch as it transpires here. You know, I think that the Toronto Blue Jays, or at least I hope that, they also feel that same pain of missing out on Shohei Otani. And an argument could be made for, well, if they are feeling that pain of missing out on Shohei Otani, then maybe if they are actually serious of going out and getting Juan Soto, then they won't let that happen again. That's the optimist in me, or at least that's what I'm hoping, that Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro are so horrendously hurt by what transpired a year ago that they will refuse to allow that to happen again, and they will learn from it, and they will not allow themselves to be used as leverage. And if they are, then they're just going to get out on it. But if not, they are going to get this deal done. That's where I'm at. Right. That's my optimism.
I hear you. Now, I brought this up on our podcast for Bad Baseball. It's going to come out in a couple hours, folks, after this one. But I brought this up, and I think there's some weight to it where, is it because we don't want to miss out on that opportunity again for a generational talent, and we're willing to shell out, which is reportedly being $700 million is the magic number for Juan Soto. So realistically, the only way Juan Soto's coming to the Jays is if we're paying him $700 million. So is it delusional of us as a franchise to commit that much money to a player who, let's face it, yes, he's generational, but he also can't pitch as well. And that was the big attraction of Otani. And let's also face it, he doesn't have that international attraction, that ad revenue like Shohei Otani has attached to him.
Not as much.
To his name, right? So are we being delusional to pay the exact same amount of money for what we justified for Shohei Otani paying him that much because we could see that return on investment very quickly, and the Dodgers did see it this year? Is it delusional to think that we are doing the same thing here with Juan Soto, and we're expecting the same thing?
I think the question that you're asking is $700 million too much to pay for Juan Soto?
And we're just going to go do it because we don't want to miss our chance.
Well, I mean, sure, yeah. For a pound-for-pound basis, $700 million is probably too much. If you really think about it, if that's the contract that he ends up getting, then, you could argue that you could pay 2 of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s, right, for the price of 1 Juan Soto. And, when you think about it like that, I mean, if I could get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and then, another Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the same price of Juan Soto, I might decide to go in that route rather than just having the 1 Juan Soto. However, I do truly believe that Soto is a generational talent, probably on his way to the Hall of Fame, and thinking that he's 26 right now, and I'm already saying that, is truly ridiculous. Crazy. So I think that Juan Soto giving him that amount of money just assures that you are going to be in on this thing for the next 10 to 15 years, which right now, considering we don't have any Guerrero extension and, kind of the team is all up in the air, I mean, in that regard, that would give me, as not only just a fan, but a Toronto Blue Jays content creator, a lot of security, because I'd be like, all right, I know that we are going to be gunning after this thing for the remainder of this Juan Soto contract. There might be some down years, there might be a couple lulls in it, but there's going to be at least probably 2 separate windows in the contract of Juan Soto that it's like, all right, we are 100% contending for this thing. So I think that that's what that provides you, and of course, you are going to have to pay a hefty price to do that.
Yeah, and obviously, getting Juan Soto here is going to have that window of contention. That's the same thing that we talked about with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., where he signed Vladdy for 10 more years. Damn, now we have that window again. And obviously, it's a big long shot, but the Blue Jays are a big market team. Can you just imagine? Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I think this is very, very unlikely that this would ever happen. But can you imagine this? We don't want to talk about star power or attractive franchises or franchises you can really get behind. If you had Juan Soto and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. locked down for 10, 14 years, those two Dominican players, side by side, 26-year-olds going through their careers together, batting next to each other, that is a team that I would buy into if I was a fan, if I was an advertiser, if I was a free agent. I want to go play on the team with these 2 young Dominican studs in this lineup. Soto getting on, Vladdy driving in. Now, obviously, that's far-fetched, and I'm going to be the first person to admit that. But that, for me, I guess to answer my own question, would be the way you make an attractive team and have selling. You have a lot of ad revenue and sales. You could sell that team to a lot of people.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. We are all the way back.
All the way the fuck
back. If there's any way that you could get something like that done. I don't need, pitch me out of the bullpen for all I care. I don't even care anymore.
Vlad will drive in Soto and make up your losses.
It'll be completely fine, right? So yeah, of course, that would take us from where we are right now, which is a, borderline, 70, 80
rebuilding
team to, literally all the way back and in the conversation, and it would be phenomenal. That is the most far-fetched outcome of all of this, because then the next question is, well, if the Toronto Blue Jays are really serious about going all out for Juan Soto and paying him $700 million, are they also going to be willing to shell out $350 million or whatever the number may be for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Because these two things, Juan Soto's contract is then also probably going to impact Guerrero's contract a little bit, in the sense of if that guy's getting $700, Am I half as good as that guy?
Right.
Sure. Well,
Right.
then that's 350. Am I a little bit more than half as good as that guy? Maybe.
Right.
Well, maybe then that's 400 million. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, like, there's a ripple effect that goes on here.
Yeah.
And obviously, Guerrero is going to be worth his money as well, however much he inevitably signs, whether it be with the Jays or somebody else. But, I mean, that entire conversation is a whole other thing. If you get Juan Soto for 700, are you even capable of getting Guerrero? Because just from a, year-to-year basis, you'd be shelling out $80 to $90 million on two baseball players.
Exactly.
Which is something that the Toronto Blue Jays have never even come remotely close to doing before. I don't even think,
No, never.
no one is doing that right now, because even Otani's contract is getting pushed to the side. Like, no one is at a place where they're giving $90 million to two players.
No.
Right? That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe the Yankees with Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. I'd have to do the math, but
Right.
either way, it would be a fuckload, and it would be some tough decisions to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I do see here Liam in here saying that Soto wants to go to a winning club. That's why Toronto won't get him. I'm sure that's probably the bottom of his totem pole of priorities, because he's literally come out, like, it's very known now that, like, Soto wants to get to the highest bidder. Like, that's kind of the word around the industry. And yeah, like, if it's a tie, then you go to the other, down the totem pole, it's like, okay, well, this team's obviously a more historic winning team right now than the Toronto Blue Jays. So it's like if Yankees and Blue Jays tie, $700 million, both contracts on the table, he's going to the Yankees, right?
Of course.
That. But if Blue Jays are saying, here's $720, I'm going to the Blue Jays, right?
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Like, let's be very clear. We are horrendously behind the eight ball. Not only just from a team or roster management standpoint, but also just a geographical standpoint as well, right? This is a Dominican player. I don't know Juan Soto personally, but I would imagine that, he probably enjoys living in America now, and maybe even a warmer climate too. I don't know. So it's going to be tough in that regard to bring him over to the Toronto Blue Jays as well, on top of the fact that then, you need to outbid the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and everybody else. So, no, we're not favorites here, folks. The only way that they do get Juan Soto in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform is if they do what was just reported on, which is go all out. And, outbid said other teams.
Yeah.
So if we can take that, as just what it is, they're going to go all out, then we actually do have a chance. It is slim. It is minimal. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to get so hyped up for it. However, all that being said, like I said off the top of this, I am ready to get hurt again.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Real quick shout out here to everybody in the chat. We got 150 people in here. Guys, we just created our mailbag just 30 minutes right before this.
Yes.
Down in our YouTube description, you'll see that there is a link to a mailbag. It's a Google form. You submit your name, submit your question, and what we're going to do is this upcoming Friday and forever on all our Blue Jays Today shows throughout the entire offseason, we're going to pull questions from that, and we're going to try to answer as many as possible. So if you have questions, I see a lot of you guys are throwing it in the chat. Throw it in there. That's a way for us to kind of get back to you guys and have a little bit more of a presentation and a show along with it. So right in the description, check it out, everybody.
Yeah, just a bit better structure. I already saw Sophie in the chat.
Yeah.
She submitted something already. We're going to answer your question, Sophie, just probably on this upcoming Friday to give it a little breathing time and let other people come in here and submit their questions. That is kind of the word on the street right now about Mr. Juan Soto. Before we even, just completely move on from him, I did want to bring up the New York Yankees as a whole. Like, they're going to have their work cut out for them because obviously, this is a Blue Jays conversation as much as it is a Yankees conversation. They need to retain Juan Soto, and they just got news that Garrett Cole opted out of his contract. It's assumed that they're going to bring him back.
Right.
The deadline for them deciding upon that is literally today at 5 p.m. So, I mean, maybe some fucking fireworks transpire and they don't do that. That would be crazy.
Right.
But the New York Yankees are going to have their work cut out for them a lot this offseason.
Yeah, they are, right? And, of course, like, Garrett Cole's just trying to get that extra $1 million. I mean, he wants to be a Yankee, as much as the Yankees want him to be a Yankee. And, it's simply, it's an opt-out. But there's like a built-in option. I've never seen this before in the days I've been covering baseball, but there's like a built-in option for them to keep him if they just tack on one more year. So that's pretty interesting. It's an interesting note to know, like, if it didn't work out, if this contract looks bad, then it was a player opt-out. So if the contract does look bad, then then
exactly
then
so
it's
that's
still
why,
gonna keep it.
That's why I really think this is a no-brainer for the Yankees. Like, I think it was even probably discussed prior, just kind of understood between Garrett Cole and the Yankees. It's like, okay, well, if you are still performing at a high level,
we'll get you
you're going to
year.
opt out, and we'll give you another year. And that's going to be, you
Yeah.
know, that's kind of like the reward system there. If you're still doing good, you'll get another year, and we'll move on and call it a day.
But if you're playing bad, then we take our L
Then
here. And
exactly, like you won't get that additional year.
and you probably won't opt out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, that's just going to be what it is, right? So, yeah, that's the situation going on with them. I really hope that they fumble the bag this offseason, man, because, like,
dude.
I mean, like, if you think about it, Baltimore's still really good.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay's kind of fallen off. Boston is, you know, a 500 team. Maybe we'll see what they do this offseason.
There could be a year they could be in the playoffs. You know, they're one of those teams.
But I could also see a reality where it's like, oh, you know, there's a 76-win season from them too. You know, like I could see them, you know, kind of having a range of outcomes there. But if New York fumbles the bag here, then I look at that roster and I go, these guys fell off major.
Well,
and it's almost like the door's kind of open.
Yeah, they're losing 3 high leverage relievers in their pen. You know, obviously they're going to get Garrett Cole back, but they're also losing Alex Verdugo as well. They're losing Juan Soto.
Gleyber Torres potentially.
Gleyber Torres, that was their leadoff guy. So if they lose Gleyber Torres and Juan Soto, you just have Aaron Judge up there.
Yeah.
They actually just declined Anthony Rizzo, so he's done. He's a free agent right now. So like they might pivot though. The word on the street is they might pivot and go get like a Pete Alonso. That's the obvious choice right now with no Anthony Rizzo. He's already in New York. Just like go across town and play for the Yankees, right? So that's an option for them right there. They were also thinking about Willie Adames too, going to the shortstop position, just like kind of getting their middle infield tightened up. But either way, if they're probably going to try and replace that production, but it definitely doesn't look as good as Juan Soto.
No, of course not. Right? It's going to be a big off season from the New York Yankees, and like this is a really swing off season, right? Because if the Toronto Blue Jays can kind of come in there and do what it is that we're hopefully going to do, which is go all out and acquire a bunch of things and steal a couple of those guys away from the New York Yankees, it's like we're kind of I'm not saying that we're all the way back and they're all the way out of here. They were just in a lot to do
ourselves. Yeah,
it's a lot of things. I'm probably getting ahead of myself right now.
Yeah.
But that that's going to be a big swing type thing walking into next season and just expectations wise.
Yeah, and like speaking of the Baltimore Orioles, I mean, like obviously they had a good year this year, but they really struggled at the end of the year. Like they didn't look like a winning team, and in fact, they weren't a winning team at all at the end of the season.
Not after the All-Star break.
Not after the All-Star break, and that obviously raises a lot of questions. Well, they definitely need to go and fix up that rotation. Like that rotation was. Definitely, they were trying to patch it together near the end there, and I always had a feeling like if they could just have like a good enough rotation, man, they're flying. But actually, near the end there, they were struggling a lot on the offense.
They were, yeah.
So it's like they're, obviously, I still think they're going to be a good team, but we haven't seen that young core of Baltimore Orioles. Like they literally haven't won a playoff game just like the Toronto Blue Jays in the last couple of years. So there's an opening there where they're not taking a commanding lead of the AL East yet.
Yeah, I get that. I still do think that they're going to be really good. I mean, I know they were fumbling in the second half, but I'm still obviously going to predict them to win over 90 games, probably assuming what happens with Corbin Burns. I do think
that's a big thing.
Yeah, similar to the New York Yankees, they're going to have a lot of work to do this offseason as well, with the biggest one obviously being Corbin Burns, but then also Anthony Santander, right? There could be a lot of big guys leaving Baltimore as well. So again, a really big swing off season here, because if those two teams fumble and Toronto can pounce on this, not saying that we need to get Juan Soto here, but like if you can bring in a Willie Adames, steal a possibility away from a New York Yankees, or bring in a Anthony Santander, and it's like you just stole a guy away, from the Baltimore Orioles. Like this is a major swing. So
yo, big shout out to Money Dude 32 with a $10 gifted dono saying, yo boys, with the Brewers declining the $10.5 million club option with Devon Williams, a trade could be on the horizon. Brewers will need a new infielder with Adames being a free agent, maybe Jimenez, Adam Macko, or for Devon. Interesting stuff there, my dude. We're actually about to talk about him, in just a minute. Very interesting. I didn't think that maybe a trade would be an option. But to finish off this conversation about the whole AL East, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot that we should be kind of looking at other than just the Jays, because these other teams, they got a lot of work to do, but so do the Jays. For the Jays, you only have Ryan Yarbrough leaving in free agency, because that's all we had left after the trade deadline.
Everyone away, right?
Right? So
we're already at rock bottom.
We're already here, right? Like, and hey, when we were at rock bottom, we were at 500 ball club.
Sure.
So it's like, like we got a couple more patches to make up on this team, and you never know. There's always a hope.
Yeah,
right?
we just need other people to hit rock bottom with us. Right?
Exactly.
Misery loves company, and that'd be really good for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's talk a little bit about Devon Williams, because that is a really intriguing name right there. Over there on Milwaukee, arguably the best, if not a top 3, bullpen arm in baseball for the last couple of years. You're talking about a dude who's got an ERA well below 2 this past year. Small sample size, but phenomenal when he was out there. He is 30 years old in the final year of his contract with Milwaukee. Now, they had an option that they declined, and now word on the street is, well, maybe they take him to R, but maybe they don't, just because it's Milwaukee and they don't have any goddamn money. But the question about a trade for somebody like this, now that's really intriguing to me, because if Milwaukee's really looking to shave off some money here, shave off some dollars, maybe this is one of those situations where you kind of look at it and you kind of pounce on it if you're the Toronto Blue Jays.
It's so funny. I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen them shave off dollars with a really elite reliever, Josh Hader was an example a couple years ago. Right in the middle of the effing season, they shaved off that money. But this one's weird because he had a $10.5 million option, like Money Dude was saying there. And they declined it to go to arbitration, which is right here projected to be $7.7 million. I've seen other ones being like $8.5 million. So they're really like, they're shaving a few million off.
Penny pinching here,
They're really penny pinching. But the idea that maybe they would trade him away to try to recoup some value, which does make sense. Like, hell, if he's getting give him, excuse my language, but $8 million next season, that's a steal for one of the best closers in all of baseball, right next there to Emmanuel Clase. So yeah, I mean, that could be an option, and that is something that I've talked about. We've had so many of these nice, young kind of guys coming in from the trade deadline this year. Why not ship a couple away? Money Dude's saying Adam Macko, and who else did he say in that one? Adam Macko and
not sure.
Jimenez. Sure, right? Like, Jimenez, realistically for us, is a backup shortstop. They're losing Willie Adames. That's a kind of interesting little fit right there. Or, hell, you got the big trade with Bo Bichette and you do something weird there, right? Like, I'm cool with that. We have a lot of options. What do you think about this?
Well, in this offseason as a whole for the Toronto Blue Jays, in years past, I've been forward with the trades. Like, I'm okay if you make trades and everything like that. This year, I would like to avoid trading as much as possible, because I think we're still in a rebuilding, retooling type of mode, and our prospect system's not great, so shipping off prospects to me is just I'm a bit more hesitant to do so, just considering where we are as an organization. That being said, though, exceptions can be made. And considering the bullpen and considering who Devon Williams is as a player, there are certain guys on my short list of, elites that I'd be willing to trade a couple prospects for to acquire. Devon Williams would assuredly be one of those players, because that, to me, is immediate, okay, you are the closer now. It's great. It's phenomenal. And by doing that, sorry, Jordan, but you've also then allowed yourself to decline all of money and get rid of him. Yeah, it's okay, well, we're just going to take that money, put it into a sure thing in Devon Williams, and then, sorry, Jordan, but it's probably, see you later, and maybe we can take that money and reinvest it somewhere else. So there's absolutely some good moves that could be made here, and we know that the Toronto Blue Jays have had, a working trading relationship with the Milwaukee Brewers before. They would, of course, be looking for prospects if it really is a penny-pinching, money-saving type of move for them. So a Bo Bichette trade doesn't seem likely, just because of how much money he would be set to make next year, at least to them anyways. I could see him going to the Dodgers or somebody who doesn't care about the money. But to them, it feels a bit unlikely. But if there's any way, of course, to acquire Devon Williams, sign me up 10 times out of 10.
I agree. Well, Chris is here saying, speaking of the trade proposal by Money Dude here, saying Macko and Jimenez is nowhere near enough. I gotta tend to agree. Devon Williams is a special player, and yes, you're only getting 1 year of Devon Williams, but you're gonna get a huge, pack for your punch, in that 1 year for Devon Williams. So maybe not, it won't be enough, but sign me up. Again, if we go with this free agency and we get another bat, we get some bullpen arms, and then we go trade for Devon Williams, okay, we're building a competitive enough team here, guys. So for me, I'm all in on winning next year. That's the direction we're going, clearly. Well, we'll see after this free agency. Let's go and commit hard. We have 1 year left. We don't know the future of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. yet, or Bo Bichette, and we don't know when we're going to get a chance to win. Let's go all in right now and give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I feel like I flip-flop back and forth on that so much, but you know what?
We gotta win. We gotta win.
We do.
Why would I
That's
want
the
to
thing.
watch another year of losing? You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, the
screw
goal
that.
is winning, and right now we're not doing it. So, yeah,
Let's
any
win.
way possible, that would be good. Speaking of Guerrero, actually, our good friend Keegan Matheson posted an article today. Speaking of Keegan, we're going to have him on for a podcast tomorrow, everybody.
Let's
now,
go.
in this article, we're going to break it down with him tomorrow. He was talking about the need to sign him up long-term and everything like that. But one of those reasons is because he's so damn good at hitting. He is a finalist for the Silver Slugger Award. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. We knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
This was a matter of time. Good chance he walks away with it, too, because I think he's up against Naylor, up against somebody else, too. I mean, definitely a good chance that Guerrero could walk away with this one. And, a season that definitely deserves it as well.
Yeah, he's second in the entire league in batting average. Only person higher than him is Bobby Witt Jr., and he hit 30 home runs. I know Naylor hit 30 home runs, so, 103 RBIs for Vladdy. And he had the WAR at 6.3. So for me, this one definitely, maybe it's not as a clear-cut decision because, Naylor did have a really nice year. But for me, it's very, very easy. Like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should win at first base in the American League.
The other guy was Carlos Santana for the Twins. I mean, that should be beaten out right there.
He clears him.
Yeah, I definitely think that he would clear that guy as well.
Another guy here that we have winning an award, everybody. Everyone give a big round of applause for the first-time Gold Glove winner. Can you believe it? Dalton Varsho, everybody. Yeah. Everyone put up for Dalton Varsho. Claps, claps, claps in the chat.
I mean, this would have been a horrible mismanagement of baseball if he didn't get this award. We all knew it was coming, and I think that there's a realistic chance that he could walk away with a Platinum Glove, too, with everything that he did out there in the field this year. Yeah. Do I wish the bat was a bit better? Of course. Sure. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. We'll take what we can get. Yeah. The guy is one of the best defenders in baseball, if not the best defender in baseball. So shout out to Dalton Varsho. This was well earned.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. I mean, man, it's about time. It just, it's kind of shitty, and I don't want to take anything away from Dalton Varsho or even Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for this, point. But it's shitty that these guys are getting awards, and it really didn't contribute to the overall success of the season. You know what I mean? It is really shitty.
No, of course.
You need to build. That's why the baseball's not a one-man sport like basketball is more. For example, like you put one guy on that court, and your whole franchise changes.
Could be.
Whereas baseball, you really do need a collection of guys, and it just sucks to see that we didn't really benefit in the win column a whole lot.
Oh, I get it, man. I do. I mean, I always think about the I really think that everyone looks at the Mariners wild card loss, and people look at the Twins loss as being some of the most disappointing seasons in recent memory. I would argue that 2021 was actually the most. Or for me, I'm going to say don't cut me off because I'm going to say the most disappointing season because you had a guy that finished top 3 in MVP. Another guy was in the top 3 in MVP. You had 2 guys top 3 in MVP. You also had the Cy Young winner. All these awards don't make playoffs. Yeah, that to me is the most disappointing.
Okay, I can hear that because I think it was our best team that we've had in the last 5 years.
That's what makes it the most disappointing
is that we didn't even make playoffs that year. Because if we made playoffs, we probably win a playoff game. You
would think, right? Yeah. Because you'd have the Cy Young rolling out there and an elite lineup.
Yeah,
right?
Elite lineup that slugged. And I forget who exactly the Red Sox ended up playing because that's the team that beat us out.
I don't know.
But I think we would have definitely had a shot. 100%. We could have. It was shots at least win one effing game.
Yeah, but the point being, it's you're right. You can get guys that are right up there in all the different awards.
Things.
And sometimes it just it's not resulting in wins. And similarly with Dalton Varsho, that was the case here.
Yeah, no, I exactly. Yeah, only if Kevin Gausman was on the 2021 team, that would that was the big problem in the 2021 team. Is our pitching staff was carried by Robbie Ray, but we had enough cast of characters like Alec Manoah was breaking out that year. You had Steven Matz, Jesus, and then we traded for Jose Barrios. We just got enough there to push us over the edge. But Kevin Gausman came right after that. Which ended up being a good signing. The whole Robbie Ray and Kevin Gausman thing. That ended up working out pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, no, agreed. Definitely agreed, man.
Let's give a quick shout out, guys, to the sponsor of this Blue Jays Today show. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey guys, love this picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, guys. If you're sports bettors, make sure you check it out. Links in the description to go sign up on that app, guys. So go check it out if you want to jump on this spread right here. If you guys are NFL fans, you know we are. There's a big game tonight, Monday night. Chiefs, Buccaneers. Chiefs are heavily favored because they got the power of the referee on their side.
Yeah.
And the bias of Patrick Mahomes, the almighty God. It is a heavy favorites for the Chiefs right now. Who do you got in this one, Nick?
Obviously, the Chiefs by a wide margin. To put this in baseball terms, for those who aren't as familiar, it's effectively the LA Dodgers, maybe even better than the LA Dodgers, taking on the San Francisco Giants, who are really injured right now. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's very clearly like we're swinging in one direction, and
Yeah.
that's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Giving them by a million.
Yeah, like you could take a 9.5, a negative 9.5, which is about 1.9 multiplier. That honestly feels kind of safe to me. Yeah, because you got no Chris Godwin, you got no Mike Evans. So it's an easy one for me.
Yeah,
no weapons for
absolutely.
Baker. He ain't cooking.
Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. Let's move on and discuss. What was the next thing we were discussing? Oh, right. Blake Snell. Let's talk a little bit about Blake Snell.
Yeah.
We discussed this rotation a little bit for the Toronto Blue Jays, and it does need to get better. There is now a new option that they could go after. I'll be completely honest with you. I'd find it hard to believe if they did, but Blake Snell is going to be hitting the free agency market. He has opted out of his contract with the San Francisco Giants. Terrible first half, incredible second half. Wild career for Blake Snell so far. Somebody's going to give him a lot of money, though.
Yes, he has. I mean, he has 14 starts. Last 14 starts, he had the Giants, an earned run average of 1.23 with 114 strikeouts. And you can really chalk it up to like that injury that he had early on this season, and the fact he got off to a very late start because he had like an inflated 6 ERA or something like that when he first began. But he really finished out strong. But did the Toronto Blue Jays need him? Not necessarily. I mean, you know, he is a bit of an up and down kind of guy, but he does have the capability of giving you Cy Young type of stuff. I think we're already investing a lot of money into our rotation, so I really don't think going and getting a Blake Snell, another number one, is exactly what we need right now, to be quite frank with you guys. So, I don't know. I feel like we could kind of pass on this. And instead, I'd want to actually look at some other guys that are hitting the free agency market. Like, Phil Maton just actually got announced today that he's hitting the market. He played really good for the Mets when he got traded over there. With the Mets, he had a 2.51 ERA and a whip of 0.83. He's now hitting the market. I think it declined like $7.5 million. So if you want to go pick him up for like $4 million and have him on the team, like you can. There's a lot of guys that we got to go add. Mr. Snell isn't exactly one of those on my top priority list.
No, I think realistically, if you're going to spend a lot of money, it's got to be in the bullpen. It's got to be in the lineup for sure. I look at the starting rotation, and the key for me, like really the key for me, it's two guys right here.
Yeah.
It's not Gausman, it's not Bassett, it's not Brias. The two keys for me is Bowden Francis and Alek Manoah. Because those two guys are cheap. They don't cost a lot of money. They might have a future, a bright future.
Right.
The jury's still out on, exactly how long these guys can perform at the level that they were performing for. Obviously, Alek Manoah, there's a lot more question marks there around, than around him than Bowden Francis.
Right.
But still, with Bowden Francis, right, you wonder, okay, well, was this just, magic caught in a bottle? Like, is this, what you can really be? Or, are you going to fall back to earth type thing? Because the way that he finished was literally Cy Young caliber.
Yeah.
But that, to me, is the keys of success to this Toronto Blue Jays rotation. They've spent so much goddamn money on, aging veteran pitchers, and eventually that's going to come around to haunt you. It really, really is. That's not I don't think that is a winning formula long term. It's great to go out and, to get one guy, maybe two guys, but you have to have a young core there that you're not paying.
Some depth.
Yeah, some depth, right? It's like you got to have a couple dudes who are, on relatively cheap contracts that are absolutely putting up. We can't just keep signing 31-year-old starting pitchers for, $100 million type thing. I don't think that is going to be a winning formula. Bowden Francis, Alek Manoah, pop off, show that, we do have a core here in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
That's the key to me, for me, with the rotation moving forward.
For sure. Alek Manoah's a fun one, man. Like, again, maybe I'm a big Alek Manoah supporter. I'm rooting for the big comeback, in his career because just how good he was, right? when he was earlier with the Jays. But man, like if he could get me, I said this last year, just get me anything like just under a 4 ERA or even a 4 ERA. Give me innings. Man, that's a win because you're right. That is a huge part of our payroll that we're not paying for. You know, that you were getting that. And the same thing goes for the lineup too. I need guys like Spencer Horwitz to show up. I need guys like Will Wagner to show up that I'm paying $700,000 for, $800,000 for. Like, that's how you can go and get a winning team, is when you have guys looking over at San Diego this year, when you had Jackson Merrill. Obviously, he's a highly touted prospect, but you're not paying anything for that guy, and he's going out and he's performing. You need guys like that. If you just rely on free agents, like, we're never going to win. We're never going to win. Right?
Of course, right? And especially, like, I think about those pitchers, and again, I agreed with all those signings at the time. But, you know, you saw a different side of Chris Bassett this past year, and, you know, you still got 1 year left. How good is he going to be? I don't know. You're paying a lot of money for him, though. You're paying over $20 million. Same with Kevin Gausman, right? I think he gets paid like $25 million a year, roughly. And he's got to put up. He's got to perform.
Right.
We're not always going to have those guys, you know, performing at the highest caliber, though, and eventually you're going to need other dudes to supplement it. Bowden Francis to me feels like one of those players. Yeah,
you definitely do. Also, I totally forgot about this because there's a lot of flurry moves. I saw someone in the chat just talk about it. I was kind of mentioning hitters right there. But a guy that we actually were talking about as a potential option, if he declines his option, is Jock Peterson. And he did decline his option, guys. Like, he is now an official free agent after he had a solid season. I think right here. He had 908 OPS in 132 games this year with 23 homers. That's a guy right there. He's 32 years old, so he's not that old. That's a guy I would love to sign. However, I think the word is out there. He prefers to play in the West Coast because of the weather and down south. So convincing him to go all the way across the continent to Toronto will probably be pretty hard, but you never know. If you offer him the bag, he might say yes, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, this would be a really nice pickup from the Toronto Blue Jays, but, like, I just don't know if this is the player type that Ross Atkins goes after. Like,
a good hitting lefty?
Like, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, somebody that has a decent amount of slug. What's his strikeout? He does strike out a decent amount, right? We know what player Ross Atkins goes after, right? He wants the high contact, the low power, the great defense, pretty much everything that Jock Peterson isn't. Now we want Jock Peterson because I think that this is exactly something that the team needs. Somebody to give Guerrero some actual protection behind him, or, you know, somebody in that fifth spot in the lineup that can drive in runs, that could have a season over 100 RBIs. So I think this would be great. Don't know if it's the guy that Ross Atkins likes to target, though.
I know. It's funny. You know, actually, we did have someone in it. We'll read it out on Friday. We had someone already submit a question being like, hey, can you guys apply for these, like, management roles to change this team? And, like, obviously, that's very nice of you to think that, you know, these guys can change it. But, like, honestly, if Jock Peterson's a perfect ad. He's been around the block. He can go and plug and play at any team. He's been around so much. It's not like you have to worry about, like, oh, like, is he going to produce what he does, like, in his past? Of course. He's Jock Peterson.
He does do it.
Hits. He hits anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So, like, that for me would be an easy plug and play if I was in a position to make that decision, but I'm not. So, sorry. Can't make it happen.
Yeah, we'll see what Ross Atkins does decide to do. That's effectively everything that we have to talk about today, everybody.
There's one more thing, actually. One more thing. Kind of a cute note, actually.
My mistake.
I forgot about it because it was like, it kind of doesn't matter because I don't think this guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But big shout out to the Bringer of Rain for being selected and being an electee for the Hall of Fame ballot. Let's go. Josh Donaldson is going to be on the ballot for the next Hall of Fame, and the electees will be announced December 8th. So, I mean, Josh Donaldson, prolific career, MVP, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and ML Player of the Year. Do you think Josh Donaldson, the Bringer of Rain, is a Hall of Famer?
I mean, look, the numbers are nice. I just don't know if they're nice enough, right? He had a solid career. He did win an MVP. And for most of the time that he was in MLB, this was an above-average player for sure. Is 46.7 WAR enough, though? I don't know. We were looking at Matt Chapman's Baseball Reference the other day. Like, he's actually kind of close in terms of WAR as Josh Donaldson is.
Right.
And I mean, with all the defense and everything like that, I certainly don't think that Matt Chapman is a Hall of Famer, at least at this point.
Yeah.
I think he'll get a couple votes, but I don't think that Josh Donaldson is going to make it in.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of other guys. Like the guy that everyone keeps doing is John Donaldson. Oh, it's a typo? No, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. It can't be a typo. It can't be. It's supposed to be John Donaldson. Well, if it is John Donaldson, then we fucked up.
I think Bob Nightingale fucked up.
I didn't look into that further, dude. I just saw Josh Donaldson. I was like, are you kidding me? Josh Donaldson? Wow. You're right. You're right. Sorry, guys. Apologies, everybody. We're dumb. Or Bob's dumb.
Well, we'll see if Josh Donaldson ever does make it on the ballot.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I guess he... yeah. Do you think he ever will? I don't.
Probably not. Yeah, if he didn't make it on this time, then probably not. Folks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the dono right there. Coming from Matthew Strong with $6.99 dono. Much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, folks, hit the like, smash the subscribe button. Hit us up with some questions in the mailbag down below. We'd really appreciate that. We're going to answer a bunch of them on Friday. We'll have a podcast coming out tomorrow with Keegan Matheson, so that should be really good. Hopefully get some insider information as to what he thinks the Toronto Blue Jays should be doing this offseason in terms of Guerrero, in terms of Soto, in terms of the management, in terms of everything. But should be a fun one.
Yeah, it should be a fun one, guys. So yeah, make sure to hit that like, subscribe Blue Jays today. Shout out to all of our Patreon members, guys, and our YouTube members. It's only $3 a month to become a Patreon, about $5 a month to become a YouTube member, and you get all those cool little foam fingers and emojis that you're seeing in the chat right down below. So guys, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, and as always,
go Jays, go!